Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So as Israel is finishing up major operations in Gaza, a war in Lebanon appears all but imminent. Hizbollah in southern Lebanon since October 7th has launched hundreds and hundreds of missiles and rockets into Israel. Over 100,000 Israelis have had to flee their homes because of bombardments. 10 civilians have been killed as a result, notwithstanding the mass evacuation of the area. Some have refused to leave, and why should they have to, right? Awful. And 15 IDF soldiers, Israeli soldiers, killed by Hezbollah. So since October 7th, there's been something of a tit-for-tat exchange, but Israel has warned that there will be an invasion of Lebanon if Hezbollah doesn't withdraw from southern Lebanon and cease all hostilities. Well, Iran, backing Hezbollah as it did Hamas and the Houthis, has asserted that any invasion will be responded to by its axis of resistance. All of its regional proxies will, of course, join in the fight, because these Islamic terrorists, and previous to that, these militant Islamic countries, time and again, they don't want a fair fight. You know, they gathered together, 1948, right? You know, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, ganging up on poor little baby Israel. And time and again, over the decades now, Iran has managed to, surround tiny Israel with its militant regional proxies and creep ever closer, right? Dangerously close. This reminds me, years ago I read a brilliant book. I think it was called Platoon Commander, of a platoon commander, surprisingly enough, in the Vietnam War. At night, he would send out patrols, right? They have a little fire support base, send patrols out, because you don't want the guerrillas creeping ever closer to the base. To his credit, unlike a lot of junior officers who ordered the men out, he would go out regularly with his troops, right, leading from the front. But at any rate, this is what Israel had failed to do, as these regional proxies were getting ever closer. Previously, Israel had to push into southern Lebanon and, destroy these militants, push them back. But, they've managed to creep ever closer, and now launching dangerous attacks into Israel. Israel has absolutely no choice but to reply. And it is all but likely, because it doesn't look like Iran and its proxies are going to flinch this time. And this will be Hezbollah has hundreds of thousands of rockets trained towards Israel. And its proxies, there's axis of resistance, right? Of course, the Hamas in Gaza, and yes, they are in the West Bank, along with other Islamic militants. Hezbollah, of course, in Lebanon, militant groups in Syria and Iraq, and of course, the Houthis in Yemen. And behind it all is Iran. And people use the image of the octopus. There's Israel and its tentacles, business and high finance and entertainment. Nonsense. In the region, it is Iran that is that octopus. It is the head of this particular hydra, the main head, right? Actually, I'm confusing metaphors, because the hydra 100 heads. But at any rate, that is what needs to fall. And I mentioned this before, right? Israel needs to take out those the nuclear weapons program in Iran, and let Iran decide if it wants all-out war. And the government of the United States, cringing Joe Biden, or whoever is running that show there, needs to tell Iran, you stay out of this fight, or we're in this fight with Israel. Let it be known. But at any rate, I doubt very much that will happen. But Iran will continue to fund these militant proxies whose stated aim and end, their entire reason for being, is the destruction of Israel. They don't want any two-state solution. They want a one-state solution, another militant Islamic theocracy. That's right. That's what the Muslim world needs. That's what the Middle East needs, is another Islamic state, like Iran or Afghanistan. Or, one of these brutal dictatorships, like, Bashar in Syria, right? No. Israel, the Middle East doesn't need that. Israel is an island of sanity and civility and democracy in the Middle East. It is a beacon. At any rate, this war looks like it's all but inevitable and could easily trigger a much larger regional war. But one thing is very clear. The Emirates and Saudi Arabia, they're on the side of Israel here. They can't go public with this because, their populace been spoon-fed militant ideology from the cradle. But Saudi Arabia, it is well aware that the threat to its survival is being smothered by this blanketing Shia-led coalition of militants, right? Just as Saudi Arabia is trying to modernize and liberalize to the extent possible, it faces Iran, a deadly threat to its existence as well. Who knows what's going to happen? But the good side here, the side of virtue and the side of civility and humanity, that's the side of Israel. And this could lead to thousands of civilian Israeli deaths. And yes, it will be tragic, but unavoidable. Time is not on Israel's side. The longer Israel waits, the more weapons and advanced weapon systems will be smuggled in to Hizbollah from Iran. So at any rate, my prayers go out to the citizens of Israel and to those brave soldiers in the IDF. And please check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. This woke leftist ideology, it is supporting this Islamic tyranny. These kids don't know anything about Islam, and they think it's a religion of peace. It is not a religion of peace. Never has been. 1400-year horror show. At any rate, thank you so much for your time and attention. Please do drop a thumbs up. Gratifies my fragile male ego. And if on the site that you see me, I suddenly disappear, check me out on YouTube, right? I'm being threatened relentlessly by one of these other platforms. Thank you so much for your time and attention now. Bye-bye.